From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what's in store over the next 60 minutes. Too close to home. New World Screwworm was detected less than 400 miles from the southern border, prompting USDA to shut down the southern border to cattle imports again. Cracking down on foreign-owned farmland with a target on China. What you need to know about USDA's new plan. As the Trump administration continues to secure the southern border, there's an intense push for meaningful immigration reform. So today, would you say the immigration system is broken?
Yeah, it's been broken since 1986.
Why the dairy industry is also pushing for an immediate fix. Heartbreak and devastation.
I've got some fence left back over here by that hill. Everything else was either severely damaged or destroyed.
The historic flooding in Texas Hill Country. We head to Texas as a rancher describes the devastation. Now for the news, USDA reversing course this week, closing the southern border to cattle imports again after New World Screwworm was detected less than 400 miles from the southern border. The move is aimed at preventing the spread of the parasite into American herds. The flesh-eating screwworms can cause severe wounds and infections. The U.S. cattle industry is on high alert after the New World Screwworm case was found just 370 miles from the U.S. border, which indicates the pest has traveled 160 miles northward of the location where sterile flies are currently being dropped. One port had just reopened on Monday after being closed for 2 months due to an earlier detection of NWS. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said this week the U.S. decision to halt cattle imports from Mexico again over the flesh-eating screwworm pest was exaggerated. The scenes out of central Texas are heartbreaking after flooding in the area causing massive destruction and death. While the search for victims continues this weekend, ranchers in the area are starting to add up the losses. Texas Ag Commissioner Sid Miller telling Farm Journal the flash flooding hit 21 counties, accounting for about 10% of the state. And while they won't have an accurate damage total for at least a month, the loss to agriculture will be significant.
21 counties, Gillespie County, home of Kerrville, the Guadalupe River was the worst hit. If you can picture this in your mind, in less than 24 hours, there was the same amount of water that goes through Niagara Falls in a month and a half. Now that's a lot of water by anybody's standard. It came early in the morning, 3 a.m., pretty much unannounced.
Miller telling Farm Journal's Michelle Rook this is a large production area for cattle, sheep, goats, and hay, but also vineyards and wineries. The devastation comes as Texas farmers and ranchers are still recovering from one of the largest wildfires in U.S. history a little more than a year ago. USDA taking what it's calling bold action to crack down on foreign-owned farmland, specifically targeting China. Members of the Trump administration announcing the new initiative called the National Farm Security Action Plan. Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins and others on hand to unveil the plan this week, saying American ag is a key element of the nation's national security, and the plan aims to address urgent threats from foreign adversaries, along with strengthening the resilience of the nation's food and ag systems. The plan taking on 7 areas. First, it addresses U.S. foreign farmland ownership head-on. USDA sharing this graphic, Rollins pointing out that more than 265,000 acres in the U.S. are owned by Chinese nationals, some of which is located near U.S. military bases.
And at the federal government level, working to do everything within our ability, including presidential authorities, to claw back what has already been purchased by China and other foreign adversaries. Additionally, working with the Treasury of the Secretary of the Treasury, along with our Defense Department, on memorandums to ensure that moving forward, there is a much more intentional look at who is buying what in this country and from where they are in the world.
Also out of USDA, the agency announcing details of another round of disaster aid for producers this week, which was expected, with the agency saying it's expediting payments to producers. This is for producers who suffered crop losses from natural disasters in 2023 and 2024. They can now apply for $16 billion in assistance through the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program. FSA says it will deliver the assistance in 2 stages. The first is open to producers that received help under crop insurance for the non-insured crop disaster assistance program. That sign-up is now underway. Stage 2 sign-ups will be for eligible shallow or uncovered losses, and sign-up for that will start in the fall. This is part of the $21 billion in disaster aid approved by Congress in December of last year. A new report says farm bankruptcies so far this year have already exceeded all of what were filed last year. The University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture looking into it. It says so far this year, there have been 259 bankruptcy filings. Economists adding Arkansas makes up more than 25% of those Chapter 12 filings. In 2024, 216 farm bankruptcies were filed nationwide. Well, as we showed you in news, the flooding in Texas over the weekend, just absolutely heartbreaking. Those areas saw even more rain this week. We're checking in with BAMWX right after the break to see where the wet weather could fall over the next 10 days. That happens in just 2 minutes.
U.S. Farm Report is brought to you by Pioneer. Plant with confidence. Plant the #1 corn and soybean seed in the U.S. Pioneer.